Welcome to Neville Manifestation, where we don't just talk about changing life. We step into the power that creates it. And if you're ready to go deeper, unlock your true potential, and live from the reality you desire, make sure to join our exclusive membership and begin your transformation from within. What if everything you're stressing about right now is already over and you just don't realize it yet? What if your current life is nothing more than an old story still playing out, while the real story is being written quietly inside your mind? You've been taught to trust what you see, but what if your eyes are only showing you the past? And what if, in this very moment, you have the power to step into a completely different reality, simply by choosing what you believe is true? My friends, what you're looking at in your life right now is not the ultimate truth of who you are or what your life is becoming. I need you to really let that sink in, because everything else depends on your willingness to accept this one idea. Your current finances, your relationships, your daily conditions, none of these are a direct statement of your present reality. They are echoes. They are delayed reflections of thoughts you once entertained, beliefs you once accepted, and assumptions you once lived by. What you see is like a snapshot taken in the past. And the biggest mistake people make, the one that keeps them stuck more than anything else, is treating that snapshot as if it were the living truth. But it isn't. It's just the past showing up in the present. The real truth lies within you. It lives in your imagination, not in what your eyes are showing you, not in your bank balance, not in what others say or confirm. The truth is the inner scene you choose to step into, the story you quietly repeat to yourself, especially in those unguarded moments when your mind is simply flowing on its own. The outer world always mirrors your inner state, but there is always a delay. The visible world comes after the invisible one. Just like a child is born after conception, your outer reality is born from what you've already accepted internally. It is proof of what has been, not a declaration of what is now. This changes everything. If you want a different tomorrow, you cannot let today decide how you feel. You cannot keep looking at your current situation for guidance about your future. What you see today is not predicting your future, it is reporting your past. You've already moved beyond the version of yourself that created it. So when you hear the idea of ignoring reality, I know it can sound strange. Your mind will push back. It will say, but this is real, these are facts. And I'm not asking you to deny that these facts exist. I'm asking you to stop giving them the power to control your inner state. Because what are facts really? They are the solidified results of old assumptions. They are thoughts that have taken physical form over time. They are not fixed, not permanent, and not a definition of who you are now. They only show who you used to be, and that difference matters more than you realize. So when your senses try to pull your attention, when you see numbers you don't like, when something hasn't shown up yet, when your life doesn't match your vision, just smile. Not in denial, but in understanding. Recognize that what you're seeing is already fading. It belongs to a version of you that no longer exists. It's the leftover shadow of a chapter you've already decided to move beyond. Don't fight it. Don't react emotionally to it. Just refuse to let it influence how you feel inside. Stay rooted in your assumption. That's the entire practice. It's not complicated. It doesn't require anything special. It's simply the daily decision to assume that what you desire is already yours. When you wake up, feel it as done, not as something you hope for, but as something that already exists in your life. Move through your day as the person who has already received it. Let your choices, your words, and your actions come from that version of you. At night, rest in that same knowing. Let that inner state feel more real than anything happening outside of you. In the beginning, your senses will challenge you. They will try to convince you that what you see is the only reality. And in those moments, gently remind yourself, this is the past. This is not who I am now. I have already shifted. Then return to your vision. Keep seeing yourself where you want to be. Keep feeling it as real, as natural, as already yours. Because in the deeper level of reality, the place where everything is created first, it already exists. And if you stay consistent in this, without constantly interrupting yourself with doubt, the old version of your life will start to fall away. Not all at once, but gradually. Like old paint slowly peeling off a wall, revealing something new underneath. And then, one day, what felt invisible will become visible. What felt imagined will become physical. Your new reality will take its place, first slowly, then suddenly, then completely. Because your outer world is always following your inner world, always one step behind. By the time something shows up in your physical world, it has already been set in motion by a state of mind you held earlier. What you can see is always the result. What you cannot see is always the cause. Think about a tree. Before it ever appeared above the ground, it existed as a seed. That seed was hidden, but it was still real, still active, already becoming what it was meant to be. In the same way, what you're experiencing right now, especially the parts you don't like, is not working against you. It's simply old. It's like receiving a letter today that was sent weeks ago. The message belongs to the past. The only problem happens when you forget that and start reacting to it as if it's something new and current. When you give your attention, your frustration, or your fear to what you see, you are feeding it. You are giving energy to something that is already on its way out. This is how people stay stuck without realizing it. The moment you emotionally react to what you don't want, you begin creating more of it. Your focus is never neutral, it always creates. Whatever you consistently think about with feeling will grow, whether you intend it or not. So, someone who understands this does not let current circumstances decide how they feel. They know their feelings are shaping what comes next. Instead of reacting, they gently pull their attention away from what they don't want and place it on the vision they've chosen. They treat the present like a message that has already been sent and cannot be changed. But the next message, the one being written right now in the mind, can say anything, and that is where their power is. Everything begins within. Before anything changes on the outside, before any opportunity appears, before any desire takes form, it already exists inside as a thought, as a belief, as an assumption. This is always the order. Your mind is like soil, and every assumption you accept is a seed planted into it. When that seed is supported with feeling and consistency, it grows naturally. Not because you force it, but because that's simply what seeds do. Your assumptions already carry the blueprint of what they will become. Most people make the mistake of judging their lives only by what they can see right now. They forget that what's visible is the final stage of something that started long ago. Just like a harvest doesn't begin when you see it above the ground, your reality didn't begin when it became visible. Your desires work the same way. The moment you truly accept them as already yours, they begin moving toward physical expression. The second you feel them as real inside, the process has already started. That's why it matters so much what you plant within yourself. Every thought that carries real emotion becomes a seed in your subconscious. And your subconscious doesn't question or filter what you give it. It doesn't ask if something is realistic or deserved. It simply accepts and starts building from it. Just like soil doesn't question a seed, it just grows it. If you keep replaying fear, it grows fear. If you keep expecting disappointment, it builds that too. These patterns don't need permission. They grow wherever your attention goes. But at any moment, you can choose differently. You can decide to assume that what you want is already part of your life. You can treat that assumption as something important, something worth protecting. When doubt shows up, you don't give it energy. When your current reality looks like it contradicts your vision, you recognize it as something old that is still finishing its cycle, and you let it pass. You don't keep digging up a seed to check if it's growing. You don't demand to see results before they're ready to appear. Instead, you keep supporting it. You continue feeling as if it's already done. You stay consistent. You keep your inner state aligned with what you want, not what you currently see. And when you do that, the result comes at the right time, often faster than you expect, because you stopped interfering. Once you decide what you want, your job is not to wait and look for signs. Your job is to live as if it's already true. Right now, in your current life, in your current body, in this very day, you step into that version of yourself. The biggest mistake you can make is standing still, constantly checking for proof, measuring how far away you are from your goal. That habit of waiting only creates more waiting, because when you feel like you're waiting, you are living as someone who doesn't have it yet. And that is exactly what gets reflected back to you. Instead, become the version of yourself who already has it. Not someday, now. In your thoughts, in your emotions, in your private inner world, be that person. You cannot hold on to the identity of someone lacking and expect to experience abundance. You cannot keep feeling like it will happen later and expect it to show up today. What matters is not what you wish for, but what you accept as true right now. So ask yourself honestly, if this was already mine, how would I think? How would I carry myself? How would I speak? How would I treat my life and the people around me? Then start living from those answers, even if your outer world hasn't caught up yet. Because what you see outside is still reflecting your past state. It's just a shadow. The real substance is the inner state you choose to hold. The moment you fully accept that new identity within yourself, things begin to shift on the outside. It may not always be instant or obvious, But the change always starts the moment the inner shift happens. There will be voices, some from others, some from your own mind, that try to limit you. They will tell you what's possible based on what they see right now. They will use your past as proof of what your future should be. They will sound logical, even convincing, but they are only speaking from the level of appearances. And you are no longer living from appearances. You are creating from within. People around you may seem practical, even well-meaning, but without realizing it, they often keep you tied to what already exists. They focus on what can be seen and proven, and in doing so, they pull your attention away from the unseen reality where your desire already lives. There's no need to argue with them. You won't win that kind of debate because all the visible evidence supports their point. But you're not trying to prove the visible, you're choosing to live from something deeper. Instead of resisting or defending yourself, simply withdraw your attention. Not with frustration or judgment, but calmly, like someone who has decided to focus elsewhere. The same goes for your senses. They will constantly show you things that appear fixed, numbers, situations, images that seem unchanged. They'll try to convince you that nothing is different. But your senses only report what has already happened. They reflect the past, not what is forming now. This is why inner discipline matters. You have to take responsibility for where your mind goes. When doubt shows up, gently bring yourself back to your vision. When fear starts building its argument, don't engage with it. When the world tells you that what you believe is unrealistic, acknowledge it without resistance and return inward. The real power isn't in getting others to agree with you. It's in becoming so certain within yourself that reality has no choice but to follow. Living in the end means treating your fulfilled desire as your normal state. Not something you visit occasionally, but the place you live from mentally and emotionally. It becomes the foundation for how you think, speak, and act. Most people spend their lives chasing their desires, placing them somewhere in the future. They speak in terms like someday or eventually, and that mindset keeps them stuck in a state of not having. What truly shapes your experience isn't your intention, it's your state of being. If you're always moving towards something, you're reinforcing the feeling that you don't have it yet. But when you live from the end, you remove that gap. You claim it now, internally, and let that assumption guide everything else. Thinking towards something says, I'll have it one day. Thinking from it says, it's already mine. From that place, your actions, expectations, and focus naturally shift. And the world begins responding to this new inner signal. At first, your external reality may still look the same. Your finances might not reflect the change yet. Relationships may not have appeared. Your circumstances might seem unchanged. This is where many people lose confidence. But what you're seeing is just a delay. The outer world always lags behind the inner shift. Instead of reacting with worry, understand that this gap is normal. It's not a sign that nothing is happening. It's simply the time it takes for your inner state to be expressed outwardly. Like planting a seed, you don't dig it up every day to check if it's growing. You trust the process. Persistence is what carries this through. Old patterns might linger for a while. It may feel like nothing is moving. But this is the exact moment where commitment matters most. Many people give up here, not because they did anything wrong, but because they stopped holding their new state. This period between choosing a new assumption and seeing it materialize can feel uncertain. But it's also where your strength is built. You don't need to fight your current reality or try to fix everything externally. Just refuse to let it dictate how you feel inside. Keep returning to your vision, not with effort or frustration, but naturally, like breathing. This becomes who you are. Time stops feeling important because at a deeper level, the outcome is already set. The only question is how consistently you remain aligned with it. As you continue, something begins to shift. Your assumption feels more natural. It stops being something you practice and starts becoming your identity. You no longer look for signs because you don't need validation from the outside. Your certainty comes from within. And then, often in the most ordinary way, things begin to change. Events unfold in ways you couldn't have planned. The world rearranges itself, and what once felt distant becomes real. When it happens, it won't feel surprising. It will feel right, like it was always meant to be. Your life reflects your assumptions. What you see now is simply the result of past beliefs. It's an echo, not a final truth. And you don't have to stay tied to it. Change begins internally, not externally. So stop giving power to what you see. It's only showing you what has already been created. Instead, focus on what you are choosing now. Assume your desire is already fulfilled. Not later, not when things improve, now. You don't silence doubt by fighting it. You silence it by no longer feeding it your attention. Make your fulfilled state your mental home. Return to it again and again throughout your day. Stay consistent. Stay patient. Hold on to your vision with quiet confidence. You're not here to chase or force anything. Your role is to decide, believe, and remain steady. Honor the inner world first, and the outer world will follow. The moment you truly live from your chosen state, everything else begins to fall into place. Stay grounded in your vision. Let go of what contradicts it. Trust that what you've claimed internally is already yours. The world will catch up. It always does. What you're really being asked to do here is shift your identity, not just your thoughts. Most people try to think positively while still feeling like the same version of themselves who doesn't have what they want. That creates an inner contradiction. On one side, there's the desire. On the other, there's the identity that says, that's not me yet. And that gap is what keeps the experience from changing. When you live from the end, you're not just imagining a better outcome. You're stepping into the version of yourself for whom that outcome is normal. This is subtle, but it changes everything. It's no longer about trying to get something. It's about being someone. And once that shift happens, your thoughts, reactions, and decisions begin to align naturally without force. A simple way to understand this is to notice how you think about things you already have. You don't obsess over them. You don't wonder if they'll happen. There's a calm certainty, almost a neutrality. That's the same feeling you want to bring to your desire. Not excitement mixed with anxiety, but quiet confidence. The kind that doesn't need reassurance. This is also why forcing techniques or repeating affirmations without feeling can become exhausting. If you're saying words while internally doubting them, you're reinforcing the very state you're trying to leave. The key isn't repetition alone, it's acceptance. Letting the idea of your fulfilled desire feel natural, even if it starts small. Another important part of this is how you handle time. Most people are deeply conditioned to measure progress by time. If something doesn't happen quickly, they assume it's not working. But in this way of thinking, time isn't the cause. It's just the space between the inner shift and the outer reflection. When you keep checking the clock, you're subtly affirming that it hasn't happened yet. Instead, the focus becomes consistency of state. Not perfection, but returning. You will have moments where you slip back into doubt or react to current circumstances. That's normal. What matters is how quickly you come back. Every time you return to the state of already having, you strengthen it. There's also a level of trust involved that can feel uncomfortable at first. You're choosing to believe in something before you can prove it. And the mind doesn't like that because it's wired to rely on evidence. But this is where the deeper shift happens. When you stop needing proof in order to believe and instead allow belief to lead. You may also notice that as you stay in this state, your behavior begins to change in small ways. You might speak differently, carry yourself differently, make different choices. These aren't forced actions, they're natural expressions of the new state. And those small shifts often create opportunities or changes in your environment that seem coincidental but are actually aligned with your inner shift. At the same time, it's important not to turn this into pressure. This isn't about getting it perfect all the time. It's about direction, not intensity. You don't need to feel completely convinced every second of the day. You just need to keep choosing the version of yourself who already has what you want more often than not. Another thing people misunderstand is the idea of ignoring reality. It doesn't mean pretending things don't exist or denying facts. It means not letting those facts define your internal state. You can acknowledge your current situation without emotionally attaching to it or treating it as permanent. Over time, something interesting happens. The desire itself starts to feel less urgent. Not because you don't want it anymore, but because you feel internally complete without it. And paradoxically, that's often when things begin to move. Because you're no longer coming from lack, you're coming from fullness. This way of living requires patience, but not the kind that feels like waiting. It's more like steady confidence, like knowing something is already yours, even if you haven't physically touched it yet. That removes the desperation that usually blocks progress. You're also learning to become less reactive. Instead of letting every external event dictate how you feel, you decide your state first. That creates stability. And from that stability, clearer decisions and better outcomes naturally follow. In the end, this isn't just about getting specific desires. It's about realizing how much influence your inner world has over your experience. Once you understand that, you stop feeling like a victim of circumstances and start seeing yourself as the one who sets the tone for what unfolds. And the more you practice this, the less it feels like a technique, and the more it feels like a natural way of being. Understand this deeply. Your life is not being shaped by what you see, but by what you persistently assume to be true within yourself. Every circumstance you face today is nothing more than an echo of who you used to be, not a limitation of who you are becoming. The moment you stop reacting to appearances and start anchoring yourself in the feeling of already having what you desire, everything begins to shift. You are not waiting for life to change, you are deciding it. When you fully accept your inner vision as reality, without doubt, without hesitation, the outer world has no choice but to follow. Stay loyal to that unseen truth, because the version of you who already has it is not in the future, it is within you now, waiting for you to claim it.